This is the second time that I am recording this because the first time I was an idiot and I forgot to press record on the audio software. So here we go. Again, the average young adult is spending 3 hours watching TV and YouTube videos, 1.5 hours scrolling social media, and 1 hour browsing the internet per day. It is safe to say that we're spending too much time on the internet. And this isn't about lecturing you about your screen time. Because if you're anything like me and you want to take better control of your distractions and you want to be more focused throughout your everyday life, then you already know your screen time isn't good enough. This is about the effects that the internet has on our psychology that is destroying our lives in ways that we do not even realize. So as we go through this, please keep an open mind because I will be challenging some of the beliefs that you have been holding on to that you may not want to let go. You are being manipulated, tricked into believing problems that do not exist. Your psychology is captured by things that do not matter, and they distract you away from the things that actually matter. Your life will become infinitely better if you're able to screen out everything that doesn't actually matter and only focus on the things that do. Reports of depression, uncertainty, and stress has gone through the roof. So while your state of mind gets worse, the manipulators on the other side of the screen get rich. The thing is, when this happens at scale to a lot of people, the world gets worse. So let me introduce you to internet distortion theory, which is something that I completely made up, but I also think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think you guys realize just how much content is uploaded to the internet every single day. 95 million photos and videos are shared on Instagram daily. More than 500 hours of video content is uploaded to YouTube every minute. Think about the sheer volume of all that content uploaded just compared to the tiniest percentage that you actually see. Algorithms decide what to feed you, and they do this in a couple ways. What you have engaged with before, what other people like you are engaging with. It's all about engagement. So here's the thing that I really want you to understand. The internet is a business. The platform and the advertisers all rely on creators constantly uploading content that grabs your attention. As you are aware by now, your attention is the most valuable currency in the world. Your attention is the difference between a starving artist and a multi-millionaire. This is the power you hold. By just watching the videos and engaging with the content you do online, you are able to help these people create the lifestyles of their dreams. So we need to talk about what content does really well on the internet. Content designed to capture your attention attempts to resonate deeply with your pains and desires. The better the piece hits your problems and goals, the better it performs and the more people it reaches. But you only have a limited amount of problems in your life. Sure, you have a bunch of little problems here and there, but there are only a few really big problems in your life right now. And it's exactly those problems that is most potent to you that is constantly being exploited by everyone. So you have advertisers, corporations, big creators, and small creators all trying to target the limited number of big problems in your life. When you have something to sell, an idea, a product, or a course, the game quickly becomes who can create the most dramatic and sensationalized portrayal of the problem, and who can offer the biggest and fastest results. If one type of content does really well, others will create it too, and then the trend begins. So I speak a lot about principles on the channel because I think the best way to deepen your understanding of the world around us is to learn some fundamental principles. And one of the most fundamental principles you can learn is the theory of natural selection and evolution. And this doesn't apply to just biology, this applies to everything, even the internet. The content that you see on the internet is the highest performing content ever made. And you spend hours looking at this every single day. Really think about that because this is where it gets interesting. You believe what you repeatedly see. And since you're constantly receiving exposure to the same idea, it becomes what you think is true. What started off as a seed of truth has now become an overly dramatic situation which has distorted your perception of reality. And here's when the nocebo effect kicks in. The nocebo effect is when a negative outcome occurs because of a negative belief held to be true. It's pretty well documented that teachers have a great influence on kids' performance in schools. If a teacher carries a negative belief about her student, she will unconsciously treat the student according to that belief. The student then internalizes the mistreatment and his performance begins to suffer. Most people recognize that boys are doing poorly in school, especially compared to their female peers. Schools are dominated by women with the ideologies of a post-Me Too culture. They want to champion the girls, and rightfully so, by the way, but as a consequence of that, the boys begin to be neglected. And so you can instantly see how and why the nocebo effect would have an effect here. Because if you have an individual who feels neglected, who feels like he's not accepted as he is, who isn't appreciated or encouraged, and is more or less treated like a distraction, then their performance is going to suffer in that environment. Like, that makes sense logically, doesn't it? Most people recognize the modern dating scene is fucked up. But I wonder if the dating scene is fucked up because so many people think that the dating scene is fucked up. In this context, girls are portrayed as opportunistic, entitled, and demanding hoes. Meanwhile, men are portrayed as insecure, toxic, and disgusting boys. Where are all the good guys at, the girls ask? Where are all the good girls at, the boys ask? Not on the internet. When you bring such negative assumptions into your relationships, perhaps you shouldn't be so surprised that that is what you would find. The nocebo effect is real, and it truly is these worst assumptions we make about each other that does so much damage to civilization. We can easily bring something atrocious into the world that didn't previously exist just by these terrible assumptions we make of each other. We just covered some pretty complicated concepts that took me years to understand, and we did it really quickly. So in case that you missed it in the last section, the internet is optimizing for the content that generates the most amount of engagement. And that means that it's normally the content that elicits the strongest emotional response in terms of anger, disgust, envy, any negative emotion really, because negative emotions are far more potent than positive ones. And you get to see the content over and over again that's constantly attacking the biggest problems in your life and your deepest desires. And when you see this over and over again, you begin to believe that idea to be true. And that enables you to make pretty bad assumptions about yourself, other people, and the world around you. And it makes not only your life worse, but the life of everyone else who knows you too. Now that might sound pretty extreme, but I believe it is true. If you do some reflection, I think you'll find some examples of this. The most dramatic and perception distorting views rise to the surface. Nuance and understanding is lost in a haze of marketing and engagement. Jordan Peterson is a controversial public figure. It doesn't matter what you think or feel about him, that's not the point at the moment. Despite everything we see online about him, he says, "My life is unbelievably positive. The problems are only in the virtual world." The Mr. Beast drama last year even reached me. Now, I don't keep up to date with any internet drama whatsoever, but even this one caught my attention. And in a recent podcast, Jimmy said, the problems are only on the internet. So when Jimmy goes out in the real world and he interacts with real people, the response is overwhelmingly positive. So the message is to get off the internet. So it might sound like I'm telling you to go outside and touch grass, and I am to some extent. I went for a walk in the sun one Saturday afternoon a few weeks ago, and when I looked around, I couldn't help but notice, where the hell are all the problems? Boys and girls were playing together in the playground. Parents were laughing together as they watched their children. A group of 20-somethings were having a barbecue, and there were no phones in sight. Couples were having picnics together, and all of a sudden I felt, holy shit, I am so single. A dad was teaching his sons how to fish. It was peaceful. And if you were following the channel for at least the last few months, you would know I've been talking a lot about the dopamine, cortisol, and serotonin version of myself. And this is a perfect example of when serotonin Josh is in his element. The problems I see so regularly online do not exist the moment the screen is turned off. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. If you are oblivious to what is happening on the internet it cannot have any effect on you. But we should still be careful chastising the thing that has given us so much. Because the internet truly has given us so much. Our world would not be able to function without it. And for that reason, you are not going to be disconnecting from the internet completely. You might be able to work out ways to manage it, and we're going to talk about it, but it will not be completely eliminated from your life. And so we need to figure out a way to internet proof yourself. So here are some principles to keep in mind as you are on the internet. Good news is not news. And do not concern yourself with things that you cannot control. If something is happening and you can only watch from the sidelines, then you need to disconnect from it. This is how I do it. You need to question everything. There is one question I ask myself about my beliefs. Is this belief serving me and my goals? If it isn't, it needs to be dropped immediately. I used the example of dating before, and so I'll tie this into that as well. I have been rejected by a lot of girls. Every guy who has ever tried to put himself out there has been rejected a lot. That's just the way it is. It would be quite easy for me to blame the girls, be resentful and be bitter, and say that she's for the streets and then go my own way. But how is that serving me? It doesn't matter how right or wrong it is. I would still choose to reject it. Carrying negative beliefs about girls around with me is not helping me get my future wife. So the belief has no part in my life. Think for a moment about the beliefs you've been holding so tightly onto. Are they serving you and your goals? And if it isn't, it has no part in your life. One of the things I love the most about the internet is that it gives me a source of infinite knowledge I can tap into. I have so much opportunity at my fingertips. I repeat this so much on the channel because it is so true to me. My goal is to understand myself and the world around me better. And the whole point of this YouTube channel is to document the things I learn and the ideas that I generate and share them with you so that maybe they can be as impactful on you as they are on me. And by the way, every time that I stare down the barrel of this camera and I talk to you, I'm giving advice to myself, whether it was a previous version of myself or what I need to hear right now. I'm talking to myself more than what I'm talking to you. And since the internet is the primary way that I do learn about myself and the world around me, I get to curate what the algorithm feeds me. I have taught the algorithm to show me the things that I want to see. I might change my mind about this sometime in the future, but at the moment, Impactful Ideas is only on YouTube because YouTube is the only social media that I use and enjoy. Do you know what I love about YouTube? I love that when I open up the app, I don't have a girl instantly shaking her ass in my face. That is what I hate the most about TikTok and Instagram. So while we're talking about this, I need to give myself a shameless plug. If you like the way I think about these different ideas and you want to keep up to date with them, then the best way to do that is to continue watching the videos, yes. But also, you can go join my newsletter. There's a link down in the description. Because one, it helps protect me against the algorithm gods, and two, you'll never miss an idea. But anyway, back to the point. When I go on YouTube, I only see interesting ideas from people I respect. People like Dan Coe and Chris Williamson, plus some others who really spark my curiosity. My homepage is plastered with gym content by Jeff Nippard, Mike Littrell from RP, and of course there is heaps and heaps of One Piece content. My point is, I live in a bubble, and I like it that way. My hunter-gatherer ancestors were focused on finding food for himself and his tribe. There was no awareness of problems happening 1,000 kilometers away. There was no internet to plug into, only his own problems. I am on the hunt for knowledge to solve my own problems. The single greatest advice I can give you to internet-proof yourself is to have your own projects you are building. It is so hard for me to be swept up in internet drama because I simply do not care. I'm selfish. I have projects I want to build. My mind, my body, my relationships, my life's work. That's what I care about. That's where my attention is. That's where my focus is. So my friends, that's all for today's video. If you were born in the 90s or early 2000s, you need to give this video a watch next because there were some promises made to you that have been completely and utterly broken, and you need to know what they are. But as always, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.